Here we are at the coal depot, slightly south of Newcastle station. What we're going to be doing here is looking at weathering these walls. Now I've had a couple of queries from Paul Norman and Luke Noble on virtually how it's done. So here we are. But before we go into weathering walls, I'd just like to pick out a couple of points. I made this little hopper here out of Daypole bridging pieces that were left over from a bridge when I built the bridge on the main station. And as you can see, all I've done was use the steel uprights, trimmed them down slightly, and some plastic card, and I've got myself a little coal hopper for filling up the old sacks. Okay, so I thought I'd just do that. That's the old, that's a Nightwing kit. That's a conveyor belt, so you throw the coal in there, the coal goes into the hopper and then into the sacks. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is putting the capping stones on the top edges here. So I'll do that first and do a little bit more detail and some stoning, stone capping to go along here as well. And then once that's done, then we can weather the walls. Right, here we are. What I'm going to be doing here is making some capping stones for the walls. I'm using 1mm ply, but because it's been up here so long, and with the various temperatures up here in the loft, it's starting to warp. Now then, I've got two thicknesses of walls. I've got the 6mm ply and the 3mm plywood. And the 6mm ply, I normally have 8mm wide capping stones, and with 3mm wide ply I have the 6mm wide capping stones. This allows the thickness of the ply plus the card that the stone card that you put on, which is normally 0.5mm to 1mm wide. So all I do is you get your width of ply, and what I've done, I've made up this little cutting board here, and just every 8mm or so, just slightly mark it, move it along, slightly mark it, move it along, and so on and so on. You should end up with something like that. Okay. It's just a case of, once you've marked it all, okay, as you can see, I've placed the capping stone on top of the retaining walls and some stone edging a third of the way down. So I've got a fair bit to weather once these capping stones have dried off. So once it's dried off, then we shall have a look at weathering all that section. So there's a fair bit to do, so we'll come back when it's all dry. Okay, the stone capping is dried, and I've made a start on the detailing of the stonework by base coating it with the yellow acrylic to start with, like I do on all my walls. And then once this is done, then I go over with the, lightly go over with a little bit of black while it's still wet. Okay, that's the cement done. Okay, now I'll add the black. Okay, I've got my acrylics ready and a little bit of tissue for rubbing down. So what you start off with first is a little bit of grey, just lightly across the top, not overzealous. And wipe the brush off, then just add a little bit of green. Here, there. Right, then you wipe it off. Now, it looks a bit green on the top at the moment. Don't want to do the walls just yet. So you get your grey back again, just pick out the odd stones and rub it in gently this time. Leaving the black on if you can. That's more or less the top. You just get a little bit of white and black and just pick out the odd couple of stones. The odd bit of black. And that's the capping stones virtually done. And just leave that to dry. As you can see, they're the original ones I put in. They're dried out and they're more or less looking like the same. They will do when they dry out anyway. Okay, so that's the capping stones done. So the next part is to do the ground level. So let's get the grey wash and run it along at ground level. A bit of grey and a bit of black. Right. Get the tissue. Wipe it off the wall. Sometimes it appears to add a little bit of water. Okay, that's better. adds a little bit to it. Okay, these ridge stones, just put a quick line along there just to get rid of the card, and just rub that off lightly. Now we add a little bit of green here and there. If you think you've put a little bit too much green on, you can always go back over with the grey again. Right, let's do this last bit. I think that's done. Right, we'll put all the vehicles and what have you back, and then we'll have a quick look, see. I'm quite chuffed for that. Right, here we are. The scene is now complete. The walls are finished and it's looking pretty good. So I just say a big thank you to Luke Noble and Paul Norman. So I'm asking how it's done, now you know. But you've got to be really quick with the paint on the card. If you leave it too long, it just absorbs in and you can't get it back. Okay, thanks for watching and see you again next time on the Northeaster.